All right, welcome to a special edition. I will call it a iPhone Plus iSocial Talks. And if I look a little exhausted or a little lack of sleep, I spent the last 24 hours standing in line with a bunch of fellow crazy Apple fans and in line in here in Gilbert, Arizona to get a iPhone 6 Plus is what I got. So it's been approximately 6 hours since I got the device this morning, and I've been doing some work, of course, since I had to spend the evening overnight outside. So, but I've had lots of people that were kind of looking for my initial feedback, especially as a power user of the phone, which I feel like I'm always connected. I don't mind always being connected. And so I rely on my phone and my devices very much so. So 6 hours in, I haven't been using it this entire 6 hours, mainly because I've been doing a lot of other work with a lot of other things. But I have used multiple different features and things that initial aspects. So this is how raw this is. I've actually one of the coolest parts of an Apple product, in my opinion, is the unboxing because the attention to detail. And I have a blog post talking about what I learned while camping out, four customer experience lessons that I'll put in the show notes down below, that you guys could watch a really good video from Chris Voss on the elegance of unboxing. But I haven't even taken the little piece out of my iPhone 6 Plus yet, because that's how much I've kind of been doing since I actually got home with the device. So my very first thoughts were, as it comes in this beautiful case, was, holy crap, that's big. And when I see it sitting in the store and you saw it in the windows, it looked big. And I have a motto. If you watch the show, iSocial Talks, I say go big or go home is a motto that I like and live by. But when it comes to phones, I've never had one bigger than the iPhone 5S because I've been a primarily Apple user. I was a very big user of BlackBerry and did have an Android phone for some time, and am a fan of Android. So if you get on here and you're looking for me to bash Android, it's the wrong Apple discussion here, because you should also read my blog post about we don't have to hate something to love something. I don't hate Android to show that I love iPhone. I think the competition's a good thing. That's a sidebar. But I am moving from this device, which is one that I heavily used, and the battery life I couldn't stand anymore, to this new device. So my first instinct when I see it in the store, when we get in line, I was number 13-ish in line, was, wow, it's really big. And sitting next to the 6, it actually looks big. Sitting next to the 5S, it really looks big. And so I got the device, I opened it up. Initial thought was, wow, it's big. But as you held the device and I kind of put it in my hand, I said, it's big and it's sexy. I got the gold mainly because, well, I'm a Steelers fan, so if I can get anything in black or gold, that's what I go with. But it's just sexy. It's just a very, very pops. I kind of like the way it felt in my hand. But when I initially looked at it, I said, man, this screen's gonna be big. And I'm thinking about icons at the top of the screen, some initial worries, even including the lock button on the top, which would be the first thing that I realized. There is no lock button on the top. The lock button is on the side now. So you actually lock the device on the side. I think that's actually a cool thing. It's going to take some getting used to. So one of the first things that I definitely noticed, when you put these two devices next to each other, and I'll kind of put that inside, this is the 5S comparison. That's a big change. Now, you might be saying, wait a second, if that's the 6 Plus, it looks like it's as big as an iPad mini. Well, here's my iPad mini. And my iPad mini, which I'm a big fan of, is not near, the Plus is not near as big as the mini. So when you look at it that way, it's not as big as I thought, because the mini, when I switched to this iPad mini, my use of my iPad drastically increased because it was something I could carry around. I actually could fit it in some jean back pockets, and I have that nice cracked screen because I put it into a case that I love, but unfortunately the case cracked my screen. This is the book case, but big fan of the iPad mini. But my question has been, since releasing this, now that I have a true phablet, do I need this anymore? What is the use for this for me if I am here? And one of the people online brought up a good point. If there's iPad specific apps, you're not going to be able to use them on here, or the layout or the flow of an iPad. That was actually leads us into one of the things that I kind of realized at first when I first looked at this is if you open up, let's just go Facebook as a, of course, digital strategist, it almost looks like the when you're on your iPad and you install an iPhone app, it almost looks like it's blown up. And you have the option in the iPhone Plus to actually zoom in or zoom out of your display. Right now I have it as a zoomed in, mainly just because I was trying that out. But the look of the initial app as it's opening is drastically different than what you're used to. And mainly that's because, I mean, look at the screen size that we have here going on here, right? But when I put it into my hand and I answered my first phone call with my phone, putting my phone up to my ear and talking on it, not only did it feel natural, I almost felt like the Apple iPhone curse of feeling like the speaker was talking to my cheek is gone. The speaker actually felt like it was where my mouth was. So I almost felt like I could rest it against my face rather than me having to do the, let's do the iPhone 5S difference. Is the 5S, I felt like it was, I couldn't do this with the 5S. So something that I didn't expect and I kind of liked from that aspect. The volume controls, of course, are the same here on the Plus, and I went with a 64 gig. This was a 16, major mistake. Don't ever do that again. But some of the other initial things that I kind of noticed, I like to rock the phones because they're beautiful. They should not need cases. So another thing that I do not like in Apple products or in iPhones is that it's not waterproof, it's not break proof, as proven in my busted iPad mini. So I like to rock it naked because it's a pretty device, but because it's so much bigger in my hand, I'm afraid now it's slipping out of my hand better, because before I felt like I had a pretty good palm on it. And let's just look at that. So if you have me here, and then it's a completely different feel, and I feel like there's a better chance of it slipping out. Does that mean I'm gonna have to get a case? That's probably gonna have to happen, and that's unfortunate because you make a pretty device and you made me stick a case on it. But that's for a whole nother soapbox. One of the other things that I kind of noticed on it is it feels big, it looks big, but when I'm talking on it, it felt comfortable. And when I'm actually using it, so when I'm on Twitter, which is, that's my big face on Twitter. But if I'm on Twitter and I'm actually typing a tweet, I actually felt like it was natural. It flowed very nicely. And the other nice thing that was really nice on this was that I felt like the keyboard was great for two hands like this with thumbs, so which is what I can really type. And I often say that I might be able to out-type people on a keyboard with how fast I can type on an iPhone. And mainly that's because I write a lot of blog posts, including the one I wrote today, about 500 words on my iPhone 5S as I was standing in line. And so one of the things was, wow, this is really nice. It almost feels like when you're using the two-thumb approach, when you're doing a text message or I'm texting here, and I'll text my little brother that I'm doing a demo with him. It's just really nice. It kind of feels like it really flows. So I was surprised because it almost feels like when you had your iPhone 5 sideways, your thumbs had a lot of room to breathe. This keyboard, and can we see that keyboard? I don't know how bad this glare is. There we go. So you can see the keyboard there. The keyboard just feels like it's the spacing on it's nice. Now, also in the iOS 8 with the iPad, or with everything on the iOS 8, we now have third-party keyboards. So I will be testing out and using a bunch of those. I am not one excited about Skype or swipe texting or typing, because I can type really fast doing it the other way, and I don't need to learn a new way. But I know lots of people are excited about that, so I'm going to have to test that out, of course. So the keyboard was one of the things that I was surprisingly liked about it. Then one of the other things were, and this of course is not working because in the rules of demo, anytime you want to do something on camera, it's not going to work. But let's just say when we go sideways, of course it's not working. The sideways version of this is something I have not used yet, and I was actually trying to demonstrate it, but as you can tell, I haven't used it, so I haven't typed or watched anything on the angle side, really taking full advantage of that the screen space. Mostly what I've been doing is in my traditional, one-handed way of doing using my iPhone. One of the other kind of things that I kind of felt that it was surprisingly, really easy to navigate and things kind of flowed nice was that, if you're like me and you have to kill apps a lot of times, even swiping up and using a lot of these features, which, that feature is one of my favorites in iOS 8, is that your favorites, your most recent contacts and favorites are listed there on the top. Very cool feature. And iOS 8, I'm very impressed. But overall, the camera is really nice. I like the output on the pictures. I'll make sure to share some of those pictures. Of course, if you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you do, there's me on the camera. Look at that. It's 2 and 2. I post lots of pictures of my daughters this weekend, so I'm sure I'll take lots of them and be posting them onto my site. And the last element of what I kind of really noticed about this iPhone 6 Plus is that we really are going to have a drastic change in where I put my phone, where my phone goes, what exactly I'm doing with my phone, because yes, it fits in my pocket and I'm wearing not cargo shorts, regular shorts, and it fit in my pocket very nicely. But even putting it on my desk, I have an iPhone holder. It was a little large there, but teeing it up, like, you have it sideways, you have the device. It actually has that screen is so nice that I can actually almost use that as what I use my Mini for, which then gets us back to the question, do I need this device? And I'm going to spend the weekend playing with this device, doing a little bit of work, playing with this device, playing with my kids. But the question will be is, what things do I miss or can I not do in my new phablet? Because I have Gazelle, I've already sold my 5S. My 5S is on its way out the door. And the question will be, do I still need to keep this or do I get rid of that? So that's my kind of take on the first 6 hours of the device. I was asked the question by Rodrigo. He said, was it worth it? Was it worth camping out? Are you a fan? I say yes, but take this into account. I love change. I have a passion for change. And this is a drastic change in my iPhone world. From going from first gen to second gen to 3GSs to the 4 to the 5, all of those jumps, even when the 5 jump, which I thought was a big jump in iPhone, was a very little jump when it came to the size. I mean, remember, this is the size that we're kind of comparing it to. And that is a very big jump, not only in what you do for your apps, but how you browse, where your apps go. I'm actually going to reposition my apps because this was off of my 5S, and some of the apps that I want to be easier discovered or used are now in an area where it's not as easy with one hand. So overall, I'm excited to get using it. I have no say on, yes, it's the greatest phone of all time. I'm not comparing it to any other device because I don't know all of the other devices, so I only compare it to what I know, which will be these two devices. How does it compare to the 5S? And is it the phablet that replaces and gets rid of my Mini? So stay tuned for part 2 of this series. It'll be on Monday. We will discuss how I've used the phone and what's going on. And talking about the perfect timing is FedEx just dropped off my wife's iPhone 6. So I will be able to give you a good comparison on the iPhone 6 Plus, the iPhone 6, the 5S, and the iPad mini. Thanks again for tuning in to iSocial Talks, and I will talk to you Monday for part 2 of Plus iSocial Talks. Hit subscribe button, please share, send me your questions. I appreciate you guys watching. Cheers.